Hello and welcome to my series Green Room Interviews. Hi, I'm VC Pramod and today my guest is Dr. Ayush Razdan Singh. She is an endodontist, which is a root canal specialist, and she is head of the Department of Dental Surgery for a medical college in Jammu. As a kid growing up in Delhi, she was exposed to different forms of art and culture. She likes singing and dancing. She dabbles in astrology and numerology, and she also does a little bit of cooking, though only Kashmiri cuisine. But the reason she is my guest today is because of her debut novel. Dr. Ayush comes from a family of writers. Her maternal grandfather, Pandit Premnath Bazaz, was a famous historian, and her parents, Vijay Razdan and Omkar Razdan, have also authored books. She has a loving family. Anil, her husband. She has given birth to two sons, Aryaman and Agnivesh. But The House of Fates, published by Creative Crows, is her first mind-born. Her debut novel, The House of Fates, has been garnering rave reviews from all over the world. And I must give you a gist of what this novel is all about. So I'll read two very interesting reviews. The first review is, a soulful read that awakens you to the horrors that can be happening behind seemingly happy faces and closed doors. Such a fine web connecting the cursed fates. Another one goes on to say, a page turner which will keep you enthralled from the first page. It deals with a theme which is pretty prevalent in our white-collar society, or even our society in general. You feel familiar with the characters because of what they go through, and each one of us or someone close to us has gone through in their lifetime. Dr. Ayush, welcome to my show. It's an absolute pleasure having you on my show.
Thank you so much, Pramod, for having me on your show. It's a pleasure to be here. Well, I've been writing since childhood. I used to write for Target and other children's magazines. I was also fond of writing poetry, and the stories for this book were in my mind since many years. I just needed to compile them and bring them together. And thanks to the pandemic, I got an opportunity to do so. And as I was able to combine these stories and bring them out in the form of a book. And the reason for the House of Fates is because the fates of all these characters that I've mentioned in the book are intertwined. Since they are living all in the same house, they are different characters living in the same house. So that is why it's their individual fates, and hence the name, the House of Fates. Well, I've dealt with several issues in this book, including child abuse, then there is a kleptomaniac, then there is a cyber criminal, and I've also dealt a little with the Kashmir imbroglio, that is the migration that took place in the 1990s, and what the Kashmiri Pandits went through when they migrated, how they suffered. But I've also dealt with another school of thought in which I've said that a few people thought that plebiscite should have taken place, and the opinion of the Muslims should also have been considered, because Kashmir is basically made up of two communities, the Kashmiri Muslims and the Hindus, and we cannot leave one without the other. This is the ethos of Kashmiriyat that is present in Kashmir today. So a little bit I have touched on that aspect also, but the main issues that are plaguing our society right now are to a large extent child abuse. Because I believe child abuse is the worst thing that a girl child can go through, and it's very rampant, and it's there present in the families, within the family members, the brothers, the fathers. We read every day in the papers. So my novel is a lot dealing with the issue of child abuse and other issues also. Yes, that was a very bad time for the Kashmiri Hindus living in Srinagar. Most of my relatives were there from my father's side, and almost all of them came to our house in Delhi. And we have a small apartment in Delhi, and they all came, and obviously we had to help them out, and they stayed with us. So seeing their suffering, seeing how they had left everything and just come to Delhi without anything at all, and they had to start from scratch. They had their huge bungalows there. They had a very nice standard of living, and here they were living in small tenements when they later shifted from our house. It was a very sad time for them, and for me also, because I had dropped a year to study for my medical entrance. It was a disturbing time for me as well. I was not able to like concentrate so much on my entrance exams also. But later on, for them to settle also, it took a very long time till they finally settled. Now they are all in US and Europe and all well settled. But that, I think that trauma that they went through, it has stayed with them throughout their lives, and I think they will never be able to overcome that trauma. So yes, that was a hard time, very hard time for them. Well, a bit of both. I wanted to get it out of my system, this book, because seeing all these issues of drug abuse, child abuse, adultery, then kleptomaniac, people who have this habit of just picking things up, these plagued me. They were always in my mind that why people are like this. But then I thought, let me just write it all down and get it out of my system, because I have a habit of journaling also. I write a diary every day, and my friends are really amazed. I've been writing diary since the age of 9. So they're really amazed. You still write a diary. I'll be 52 this year. But yes, initially I used to name my diaries also. I had kept names for them. But obviously that's not the case anymore. But I like journaling. I feel journaling is very, very like soothing. It gives a very soothing feeling. It really de-stresses you a lot when you put your thoughts on pen and paper. And even for those who aspiring writers, I would give this advice that don't use a laptop. Always put it down on pen and paper first, and then you can convert your thoughts in the laptop. That is my first advice I would give to a new writer who is wanting to write something, because that's what I did. People do get surprised how I directly did not use a laptop, but no, I believe in just using pen and paper. I think to be a writer, a little emotion is required, because very practical people, I think they just like into the jungle or whatever you can say. I think for being a writer, a bit of emotion is very important, because that inner feeling, the inner you, one is for the world, one is for yourself. The one that is for yourself, it has to come out, and that will only come out if there's a little emotion involved. Yeah, I could say 50-50. 50 is fact and 50 is fiction. I have elaborated a few of the episodes a lot. But yes, it is based on facts, and the core values are fact. But yes, I've built upon it. I've fictionalized it, like what could have been the extreme. I've taken it a bit to the extreme, because it's for a reader, he would want to read something interesting, not the normal things that happen, the boring
Exactly.
things. So yes, I have taken it in a bit of an extreme, but I think that's the way of writing and expressing yourself. I would say it is inspired by real people. I wouldn't say that it's actually what a person has gone through in my novel, because that's why it's a novel. Otherwise, it would be non-fiction. But yes, it's based on real people, but it's definitely not real stories or something real that has happened. It's just based on real characters. Yes, definitely. Every character in my book is based on one character, relative, friend that I know already. So I know who I'm talking about when I'm writing about them. Thoughts of the day, whatever I've gone through, even it could be a mundane thing like working in the college and doing my dentistry, but I do write down that down, and I think that's just a way of expressing myself, because for the second book to come, it will take a long time. To at least writing a page every day, it's very therapeutic for me. Basically, I've realized that I like writing, as my genre is domestic thriller. I feel this is my genre. I would love to write more domestic thrillers, like there's a house and what all goes on between the members. The stories will be completely different. I've already started my second one. So, but I think I will stick to this genre of a domestic thriller. Yeah, definitely. I think I started writing during the pandemic, 2020, and I've been thinking of writing since so many years. So it's been a long block for me. This is the only time that I now started and got the time to write, because as a kid, as you mentioned, I used to write poetry and short stories. But writing a novel takes a lot of time and effort, and you really need your mind to be in that frame of writing when you want to write a novel. But now that I've been through the procedure, so now I feel that the second one will be much easier for me. Not really, because I like my name. Razdan, I want to specify, being a Kashmiri Pandit. Whenever somebody reads Razdan, they immediately know that this is a Kashmiri Pandit name, because there's so few of us, just 4 lakh of us. But I never considered it, because I think your name reflects who you are. I'm married into a Rajput family, so definitely the Singh part also everyone comes to know through the name. And Ayush is the name my parents have given me, so it's very precious to me. So I would never think of writing under some other name. No, no, there is a very deep thought to it. I'm a follower of Lord Krishna, and today being Janmashtami, it's a special day for me. Today I'm giving this interview, and today is Janmashtami. I'm been a Lord Krishna follower right from my childhood. In fact, my father still jokes. Yesterday I spoke to him. He was like, "Do you remember the time when you used to dance during Janmashtami?" And I used to dance like the Krishna followers. So all my characters in the book are Radha, Meera, Sham, they're all related, diverted from Krishna, but definitely the few characters are just random. Like many of them are my students, and otherwise also just random names. So the core characters are inspired from Lord Krishna and his consort Radha and Meera, and definitely Rukmini I have not included. Probably in the second novel I might take the name Rukmini. Not at all. I'm not building any body of work. In fact, when I had my discussions for my first book, I had a Zoom meeting and several other discussions. So, a lot of my readers wanted a sequel to my novel. But I believe that every novel, every body of work has its own individuality. I don't want any sequels or any follow ups of the first. It should just be a mystery for the reader to know what happened to Siddhi, what happened to Radha, what happened to Chaitanya, what happened to Rahul. It should be a mystery, and the mystery should always remain. It should never be divulged that ab wo kahan hai, where are they now? No.
True.
So my second one, as I said, will also be a domestic thriller, and there will be a new set of characters. They will have their new challenges, their new trials, their new tribulations, and again at the end of the work, the reader will wonder, unka kya hua? My second mind born, whenever it will come, I hope it will be soon. I have started it. I think finished around 7 to 8 chapters. So hopefully, like I should get that frame of mind and that atmosphere to write. But hopefully, maybe within a year or so. Let's hope for the best. Well, I would not say hardest chapter, but I think overall this book was very challenging for me, because I had to get all my thoughts out, and then I had to join them together and culminate them into the end, which I wanted to show the bringing together of all the characters. Plus, I wanted to show the Kashmir imbroglio also. So the whole thing was a challenge. It wasn't like one particular challenge, and I had to bring all these issues. At the end of the novel, I thought, did I leave any issue out? Like I dealt with drug abuse and kleptomaniac, the cyber criminal. These were the few thoughts. But I kept wondering, is there any other major issue which society is facing which I have left out? And then I realized, I guess not right now. Maybe there will be some other issue which I can deal in the second novel. But as of now, in this novel, I have dealt with, I think, 90% of the issues that are plaguing the society today. Definitely, I would love that. I can read from the second chapter. This is the realization. An aroma of spirit pervaded the hospital. It had impregnated every corner as though bathed in it. Nurses and doctors rushed about attending to patients and their anxious attendants. Margie was a worried woman. Her daughter Meera had been admitted last night and Margie just didn't know what to do. Although Siddhi and Chaya, her daughters-in-law, were there to help, Margie felt helpless. Margie was extremely protective of her daughter Meera. Never in her wildest dreams did she imagine that this would happen to her. Back in her room, Meera threw back the razai, put the coffee on the bedside table and slipped her feet into her carpet slippers. Suddenly, she felt a sharp jabbing pain in her abdomen. She held the side of her bed, but it was too painful to bear. "Sham, Sham," she screamed. "Sham, help me, Sham." With these words, Meera collapsed on the ground. Soon, a pool of blood collected under her, changing the pink color of her stool to a bright scarlet red. I would love that. That is my aim of writing a novel with crisp chapters and surprise endings, because I think all the web series we are seeing nowadays, they're all about that, surprise endings. And I don't know by coincidence or what, my novel has been written in such a way that every chapter has a surprise ending. So I think it would make a brilliant web series, anybody who's interested.
Thank you, Dr. Ayush. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on my show and listening to your stories about how this book came about. I'd like you to sign a personalized copy for me.